Courtroom is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lee is presiding. And Happy New Year, everyone! To quote Nerd Out, 2020 is on us. It's time to say goodbye to 2020. Arguably the worst year of my life, if I'm being honest. But hey, that's it with the plug. And I thought that it was time that I do a little bit of changing. Because I've gotten a reputation of being that guy as the guy who always praises Marvel and trash talks DC. Whether if it's trash talking the Arrowverse, Titans, praising the MCU movies or shows. So I'm gonna do something very different today for New Year's Eve. That's gonna be my New Year's resolution. Try to do a little bit of the opposite. So in order to do that, I'm gonna talk about the worst MCU movie of all time. No, dear viewer, I am not talking about Captain Marvel, though it is a close second. No, I am also not talking about Iron Man 3, and why the hell is that on your list? I don't care if your comic book fan ass was butthurt by the Mandarin twist, it doesn't automatically ruin the film. I am sorry. No, it is also not Iron Man 2 or Thor the Dark World. Also, Thor the Dark World is underrated. It is the one and only The Incredible Hulk. If by one and only you mean the one that everyone forgot about. Because very few people know that this movie even exists. It came out the same year and about only a month distance from Iron Man, a movie that is still to this day one of the most praised superhero movies ever. So what was the reason for that? Now, I'm not going to talk about why the film is so bad. I mean, the movie stars Edward Norton as Bruce Banner, Liv Tyler as Betty Ross, William Hurt, aka the only cast member who reprised his role in future films as Thunderbolt Ross, and Tim Roth as the Abomination. And it's a pretty good cast. They're all really good actors. They've proven it tons of times in the past. And even though Liv Tyler is, in my opinion, nowhere near as beautiful as Jennifer Connelly, she does definitely act better here than Jennifer Connelly did in the 2003 Hulk movie. And even though that movie is definitely a lot worse than this one, it doesn't make this one any good either. Because even if you take away the Mark Ruffalo comparison, Edward Norton is still not a good Bruce Banner. I mean, honestly, if you ever looked at this guy, could you honestly ever believe that he was a scientist who infused himself with gamma radiation? I mean, I'm not saying that scientists look a certain way. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that for any type of movie, you need to look the part, especially when it's about a character that has appeared before, whether if it's in comic books or video games or novels. He has to look the part. I mean, even if there's a minor difference, but no. Edward Norton doesn't look like a Bruce Banner. Mark Ruffalo definitely looked the part, and even though Bruce Banner doesn't have a certain look, he has a certain feel as well that combined with the physical appearance does a really good job at the role, and that's exactly what Mark Ruffalo did. And Edward Norton just didn't have that. I mean, I'm not going to talk about his whole problems behind the scenes and how he rewrote the film or whatever the hell that was. But I'm not really going to talk about why the movie is so bad internally, but rather externally, because the movie is just so bad and forgettable, I can't do that. Sorry. So let's talk about the year 2008. The year where Indiana Jones 4 came out. A very bad movie. A year where The Dark Knight came out. A really good movie. And also Iron Man. Another really good movie. So even though it wasn't as big as 2012, the superhero hype was still really big in 2008. The Dark Knight was the first superhero movie to gross over $1 billion at the box office, and it also gave birth to the iconic Joker played by Heath Ledger. So obviously, it was the most talked about movie of the year. And Iron Man, despite not being as much of a big hit as The Dark Knight, it was still a critical and box office hit. It was something that nobody expected. It was the birth of the MCU, but that's not what made it so great at the time. At the time, it was this great standalone film that stood as its own, and it's still great to this day. It's aged like fine wine. So why were people not as excited for The Incredible Hulk? Probably because the last Hulk movie didn't quite do as well. Not only was 2003's Hulk an absolute bore fest, but I'm pretty sure people forgot that people might remember that film more just because of some of its moments, but it's just so boring that it might have ruined this movie's chance of ever being a financial hit, at least, because this was the second installment, the second Marvel installment of 2008, after people saw what Marvel could do with Iron Man, a character who at the time was not a big name at all. You'd think that people would have said, oh my god, imagine if they did that with Iron Man, then imagine what they could do with the Hulk. But yeah, they were also a little skeptical due to the last Hulk movie, which resulted in a box office flop. The critical feedback wasn't exactly much different though, as the film got, I mean, since it's become such a forgotten shell, I wouldn't say that it was like destroyed, because it's not like The Last Jedi level of bad, where it's one of the most hated films ever, but people still remember it for how bad it was. This was those type of films that the people who hated it and then later forgot less than a year later, and everyone else just didn't see it. Yeah. Did I forget to mention that this is still to this day the lowest grossing MCU film of all time, and that it will remain that way? Yeah. Ant-Man made more than this movie. Freaking Ant-Man. It just goes to show that this movie had no excuse for flopping as hard as it did. It came out in a year where watching 3 superhero films could have really benefited all of them. A year where you could watch more than just one superhero movie and have all of them be a success. But no, this movie was so bad that it immediately flopped the following weekend, or probably the first weekend even that it came out. But yeah, it's also not like Batman v Superman, where even though it's gotten a reputation for actually being brilliant, which I absolutely disagree, people still remember it for how bad it was. I mean, but yeah, it was still memorably bad. This is so forgettably bad. Like, don't get me wrong, Captain Marvel was forgettable as hell, with a lead and actress that were so bland that it was painful to see how average it was. How it was such a dull, bland addition to the MCU. But this just, knowing that this was the second film in the MCU, that I feel delighted that this didn't destroy the MCU's reputation, because yeah, what can I say? Can you quote a single line from this movie? Like, for those of you who have seen it, like I have, unfortunately, can you quote a single line from this film? I don't know. Hulk smash, I guess? That's literally the Hulk brand. No Hulk movie is going to be recognized for that single catchphrase. You don't deserve this power? It's something the Abomination tells the Hulk while they're fighting in the climax. It's not even a memorable line, I just so happen to remember it. And yeah, that's it. I don't remember any other lines from this movie. Now, compare that to Iron Man. How many quotes can you remember? How many lines of dialogue can you quote? Sometimes you gotta run before you can walk. Next time, baby. Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps. Don't waste your life. And of course, I am Iron Man. You see that? Like, how many lines did I quote from The Incredible Hulk? Like, just one line. How many lines did I quote from Iron Man? A lot more. I didn't even bother counting. I'm pretty sure there are tons of other lines that I forgot to quote in Iron Man, like The Merchant of Death or something like that. But yeah, it's a very memorable film. And one of the reasons is because it's still talked about to this day. Many people still talk about it, and that's because the movie is good. Is good, it's memorably good, it's in every way type of good. It's not a perfect film, but especially compared to this mess, I am glad people forgot about this, because there are some people who think that it's actually a good MCU film because it doesn't crack jokes here and there. But I'm like, can you people stop giving the MCU that reputation? I do get that a few of their films do that. Do. But why do you think this movie flopped so hard and became forgotten so quick? Like, the only reason a few people came back to look at it was because, oh, Endgame's gonna come out. It's gonna be the final film of the Infinity Saga. Let's see all the MCU films that have come out. Oh wait, this film was part of it. This film did come out. I do remember those McDonald's commercials. And yeah, that's it. So, yeah, the only like good parts about this movie, I'll give it credit, are the two Hulk fight scenes. No, they're more than two, but I'm talking about the Hulk fight scene with the military at the university and the one with the Abomination at Harlem. Those are the best and most memorable parts of the movie, and that's mostly because everything else in the movie is just so forgettably bland, so dull, so... I mean, Edward Norton is a good actor, like I said. I mean, I've seen his films like American History X. He was amazing in that. But there's a reason this film is so forgotten, that people don't know that it's part of the MCU or that it even exists. So yeah, I'm glad that William Hurt got to reprise his role in Captain America Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame, and that he will reprise it again in Black Widow. But yeah, and that the Abomination, Tim Roth, will also reprise his role in the She-Hulk TV. So yeah, the movie is not like something that the MCU is ashamed of, though it really should. It's really giving it its little spotlight that it's kind of earned. It's taking the actors that deserve the spotlight the most. Like, Edward Norton is obviously never going to come back since Mark Ruffalo took over the role. Liv Tyler may or may not come back. I don't know. I don't think she should. There's really no point in doing so. And yeah, I'm excited to see the Abomination and She-Hulk. I mean, maybe Thunderbolt Ross can become the Red Hulk. It's really good. Yeah, this movie does have some good things, but the sum is a very huge sum. Like, there should be an emphasis on the sum because, yeah, I just have no other words. This is the worst MCU film of all time. So, based on the amount of evidence presented towards me, I roll in favor of you people having a great new year and me having an attempt at achieving my New Year's resolution as trying to turn things around and trash talk Marvel and praise DC. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and goodbye.